I think our value is in thinking creatively and figuring out how to use just plain old ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whatever, and upgrading our thinking and using it strategically to help us be better advisors and asking it the questions of, how would a firm owner of a $50 million firm handle this particular problem versus the way I'm handling it today, right? Or how should I approach my client in discussing these options with them, as opposed to kind of taking it the way that I would assume that I would have taken it before, right? So I think that we should be using AI to make us stronger advisors and not necessarily worry about just automating all the work.
I'm Brandon Poe, and this is the Accountant's Flight Plan podcast, where you can enjoy engaging conversations about mergers and acquisitions and accounting practice management. Listen in on strategies to build a more fun and valuable accounting firm. Welcome to the Accountant's Flight Plan podcast. I have a wonderful guest, Jody Padar, who I believe you might have been on our podcast before. Maybe we did something together. Anyway, welcome everyone to meet Jody. Jody, I'm going to let you tee this up. You got a lot going on, and tell us just a little bit about yourself. And before we turn the camera on, there was a little bit of a reveal. So Jody's got some big news to announce.
Yeah. So I'm Jody Padar, the Radical CPA. I'm probably, one of a handful of branded CPAs. I've been in the industry a long time. I say that I was the inventor of the cloud firm way back when in 2010. I iterated through it and I sold it in 2020. And for the last 5 years, I've worked in venture funded tech startups. I was at Botkeeper, where we automated bookkeeping. And then I was employee number one at April, which many of you aren't familiar with, because we built tax software from scratch to compete with TurboTax. So on the consumer side. And then just recently, I've left and I'm starting a new company, aside from being the Radical CPA and doing all the consulting and stuff that I normally do. We're creating the AIX movement. And that is the whole idea of being AI first firm. And you lead yourself, then you lead your firm, and then we're going to morph the profession into being ready for the year 2030. And it consists of both education and software to go along with it. So a lot to talk about. This is kind of like the first time I've officially talked about it on a podcast, so kind of cool. But a lot's coming, and I want CPAs to be ready for the future. I want them to be ready for 2030.
Yeah, I know enough about AI to be slightly dangerous at this point. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting into your take on it. Just from a super high level, the amount of investment going into AI in general is massive. I think people are definitely using some of the more common chats and things like that. I think chat still has the lion's share of small business traffic. But it's an exciting time, and it's I don't know, Jody, tell me, I think, is it going to stand up to the hype, you think?
So I think that's an interesting question, because I always say we're thinking about 2030. That's what I'm building for. And being that I was like I said at the beginning, the inventor of the cloud firm, right? And the reality is still less than 10% of CPA firms today are not cloud, 100% cloud. So less than 10%. And we've been talking about the cloud for 15 years, right? So what's going to happen with AI? It's moving a lot faster. It's a lot more like the iPhone versus cloud, where cloud technology was still a little bit clunky, where this technology really just kind of goes. You don't really have to learn it so much, right? You just kind of chat with it. So I think it's going to move a lot faster. I think what's happening in the profession, though, is the perfect storm. And that's why we're so ripe for disruption today. Or I would even say a renaissance, not even call it disruption, a renaissance. So, you have all these mergers and acquisitions happening on. You have PE in the market, right? So there's all this capital coming in. You have new technologies and VC money coming in to kind of fuel those new technologies and build new AI tools. So that's interesting. You have like, I don't know, whatever, 75% of the profession retiring in the next 10 years, whatever that statistics is, that all these old guys are just going to go away, right? And you have no talent. We have like no talent coming up in the pipeline, right? And for as much as the AI CPA is pushing, more talent, get high schoolers involved, the reality is there aren't enough CPAs to do the work today. So when you look at that, oh, and one more thing, we have fintech in the world, right? So a lot of people don't even consider fintech. And I would argue, being that I was on the fintech side for the last 3 years, fintech is making a play in here because it's the movement of money. It's not just the accounting, right? So when you think about the Rose and the Mercuries and like even Bill.com and, Melio and all the money movement where they're getting paid on money, right? That's coming into technology, right? So when you look at all those outside forces, something has to change because it's not us as CPAs saying, gee, I want to adopt AI. It's like the world is coming in on us. How are we going to evolve to live in the world that's changed, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference with this technology change than more so with the cloud. And like, I would say it's more like the internet versus the cloud, right? So it's
Right.
not much of a disruption. But to me, that's exciting because, like, why are we still the same? Like, why have we not changed? I'm like radical, right? Like I push the bleeding edge, but why have other firms not changed? Why have other people like not evolved the way they should have? And now, guess what? Now they don't have a choice because money's pushing the market.
Yeah, I have a theory that people are just so busy that they
Right.
don't come up and look around. They're just so busy that they're not changing because they're not looking at what they can do to change
And they're fat and happy. They make money. So like,
right.
what's to change? I'm making money and I
Yeah,
have work to do.
so far so good, right?
Right.
And I think, yeah, I think all of those forces, I totally agree with you. I see it with our business. I mean, our business is mergers and acquisitions, and um, PE is definitely making a big impact there. And some say it's not good, and some say it's good. And I think it's both. I think both of that is true, but it's disruptive.
Right.
And I'm really curious about the fintech because you're the first person that I've talked to that has mentioned that that is also something that's really creating a lot of change. And I haven't put much thought into that. I'd like to elaborate on that some more. Like, what do you think? How does that work out? I mean, obviously, it streamlines the bookkeeping and it streamlines the payables and
Well, so the interesting thing about fintech is fintech works because they make money on money, right? Because it's like they get money based on the money transactions. So when you think about like Intuit, right? Intuit's doing corporate tax returns now. Intuit's hiring and they're actually acquiring firms as well for people to do that work. And Intuit makes money because it has a bank behind it, right? So when you get a refund or you make a payment, Intuit gets, I don't know, I'll say 2 cents. I know it's more than 2 cents, but $2, whatever the transaction fee is, right? All of those companies make money on selling money. And so because they're making money on selling money, they invest more in the experience in how it works versus a CPA who isn't making money. They're not making transaction fees, or I would even say traditional software that we've been stuck using, legacy software providers haven't really invested in like keeping up the tech because they don't have to, right? But when you're making money on money, all of a sudden there's an incentive for you to have the latest tech and to have a better experience and all of that stuff. And so that's why fintech is now moving into our market and really some of the banks are partnering with CPA firms, but there are companies who are just going to take away that work and it'll be fine.
and they can tie in the wealth management piece to it. If they're
Right.
big enough, they've got the wealth management piece, which is also a very profitable industry that, you know, and if you're a small CPA firm, I actually think people don't go into wealth management unless you go in a big enough way to make it work well. Like, don't dabble in wealth management.
Well, right, because it's technical and you kind of have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's where kind of like this AIX movement comes from, right? It's the idea that if fintech is going to take the compliance work away from us, and whether it be fintech or technology itself, because all that stuff is going to be automated. For the most part, it already is automated. I could say what before I sold my firm, it was 85% automated. So like why people think it's not going to just get automated away is beyond me. But when all of that stuff gets automated away, how do we as CPAs and professionals show up to be the best advisors we can be? And that's where I say, let's put AI in it. Let's create empathy at scale. Let's help us be the best advisors we can and use AI to help us. And that's where we're going to set ourselves apart from the Intuits of the world, from the other fintechs,
Yeah.
from kind of the machine, right? Of just getting the work done, because we already do it well in our like local CPA firms. But now what if we have AI to help us scale that, to teach empathy across your firm? So I liken it to the fact that every firm has one or two clients where you've been to like your clients' kids' weddings, or you've been to funerals with them, right? Like you're that close to those handful of clients where like you're their ride or die and they trust you with everything and they're always calling you. What if AI allowed us to have that sort of empathetic relationship, that sort of tight relationship with every one of your clients,
Yeah.
because it gave you the opportunity to scale that?
Yeah.
And to me, that's the cool stuff. That's the stuff nobody's talking about. That's not automating away the bookkeeping. That's saying, hey, help us be the best humans we can be and be able to have those deeper, more trusted business advisor relationships with everyone in our firm, not just with the three people who, for whatever reason, they're attached to us in our cell phones.
We have a fast-growing CPA firm for sale based in South Carolina. The owner is willing to stay on for 10 plus years to run and grow the firm, which services high net worth clients. The asking price is $10 million and the listing ID is SC2038. Visit PodGroupAdvisors.com to learn more.
It goes back to the expression I keep hearing. It's like, AI is not going to put you out of business. A person using AI will.
Right.
And I think there's some truth to that. And I do feel like this is still like, we're still in the early stages. This is the wild, wild west of it. But I see it, I see it moving pretty quickly. And
it's going to move fast.
Yeah, it's going to move fast. And I think with the other forces that you're talking about, it's going to feel like there's a lot of change going on in this profession. People are going to feel it. And, I think there's going to be a bigger talent war. I think you're going to see, with the influx of capital into the industry, there's going to be kind of a talent war like we've probably never seen in this profession before. And there's going to be poaching, and there's going to be more of that. And that's where it hurts people. That's when they feel it, right?
And what about the people who don't have capital, right? So like that's the hard part, right? Like that's, you hear about the firms who aren't taking PE and they're like, well, but then how do we acquire other firms, or how do we have the money to hire people, or all that? And you think, well, like, yeah, those are real other issues because capital has come in. And when you have money, you can buy more stuff. And if you're a CPA or you're an employee, do you really know the difference between one firm or the other? Or you go to the firm that's going to pay you a little bit more money, or do you know, like it's going to be interesting. And I think you're right.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of disruption, but it's still, owning a CPA firm is a great business. And if you play your cards right, it's going to be a wonderful time to own a CPA firm. And you're kind of in the catbird seat, and it's a wonderful, it's what you make of it, right? Like,
right.
But it can be awesome.
Well, and my thought would be is if you own a firm, like think of this as a renaissance and think about how you can rewrite everything in your firm and make it 10x more profitable using AI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like stop thinking old school and think about how you can use these new tools, these new technologies to help you augment your labor. So instead of going to hire that next hire, you use automation and technology to replace 75% of the work that they were going to do. And the reality is most firms don't think that way. They think human, and now they're thinking go to India, go to the Philippines. They don't think automation first. And I would argue you could get to $1 million per full-time equivalent if you have the right tech stack and the right automation.
What are maybe one or two of your favorite tools that you've seen so far that are AI, specifically for the accounting industry or bookkeeping industry? What do you feel like is, most exciting that you've seen?
Well, so I think there's cool tools out there, right, that are bookkeeping centric and like tax centric, but I don't think that's where our value is. I think our value is in thinking creatively and figuring out how to use just plain old ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whatever, and upgrading our thinking and using it strategically to help us be better advisors and asking it the questions of, how would a firm owner of a $50 million firm handle this particular problem versus the way I'm handling it today, right? Or how should I approach my client in discussing these options with them, as opposed to kind of taking it the way that I would assume that I would have taken it before, right? So I think that we should be using AI to make us stronger advisors and not necessarily worry about just automating all the work. Because again, I think there's lots of tools out there. And they're kind of pick your poison, right? Like there are lots of flavors of it. And even if you're old school, or when I say old school, meaning you still have some sort of legacy-based technology, even they're incorporating AI in the tools themselves.
Yeah, it's coming into everything.
Yeah.
And if I think the first place people usually start is chat, right? And learning how to get answers from chat. I had this interesting little use case for it that I'll share. It's just a personal experience. So we have a rental property, and we just bought this property, and I'm trying to think, okay, how much could I make if I was Airbnb-ing this property versus regular rent? I asked chat, and it came up with like all of the sort of average rates for this location, and it came up with how many days you could expect to rent. And it gave you a range of like, okay, if you were 60% rented or 80% rented, this is what your numbers would look like. And then I did find some errors in some of the information though. I've found that it didn't incorporate the county restrictions on short-term rentals. So like in Charleston County where I am, you can only rent it for like 162 days or something like that. It did not incorporate that tidbit of information. So I think but you know what? I think chat's going to get better and better and better. I mean, it's the worst right now. It's the worst you'll ever see it, right? It's only going to get better.
Well, and I think too, people have they expect it to be perfect. If you would have called a guy on the phone, let's just say you have a guy, right? And you were to ask him that same question, he might have rattled off all the same things ChatGPT did and omitted that one piece about like your specific county regulation or whatever. And no one would be like, oh my God, that guy is so dumb. You would have walked away saying, oh my God, like I just got all this information and it was amazing. And yet people have this expectation that ChatGPT should be perfect. You're still a person. You still have to use your own, judgment, your own understanding. And I would argue probably had you followed up with another question saying, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you should be or whatever, taken that prompt down the line, you might have gotten that information. And so what I think happens is people get like caught in that it's not perfect the first time. And then they say, it doesn't work, right? And and not that you said that, but I'm just saying, like, I think that's the expectation, or they walk away and say, oh, it's not perfect. And I would say, if you talk to your colleague in the cube next to you, does he give you 100% of his information correct? No, he gives you like 30% of it, and you still think he's amazing.
Right. No, that's a really good point. It's just like your expectations, and it is all about the prompting, like
Right.
learning how to prompt this. And another thing, I don't type anything. I literally just talk to it. I've got it on my
Mhm.
phone. You hit the button, you hit the little mic, you talk
Right.
into it, you just freely talk into it, and it's just amazing what it comes back with.
Right.
I mean, if anyone listening has not done that, like, just try talking to chat about random problems or random things that you
So
come up with in life.
I was with my cousins last weekend, and they found a stray, and they took the stray in, and so they have this dog, whatever, and we took his picture and we just uploaded it, and it told us what kind of mutt it was, right? Like, so it was so funny. They're like, how did you do that? And it was like, we took a picture of the dog, and then said that the dog was, I don't know, some sort of shepherd herding dog and part husky, right? And it was just so cool, right? Take a picture of the dog and see what kind of dog it is.
Yeah, and we're just in the infancy of all this.
Right.
Like, the amount of capital coming that's going to continue to make these tools even better, and the ones that are going to come and that are competing with these ones that we have now, like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's why I said it's a renaissance. And that's why I think people need to get like out of not that everybody's in this mindset, but that, oh, it's going to take my job. Or I've heard even like, not even that it's going to take my job. Oh, I don't have to worry about it because I'm retiring, right? Like I hear that, like, oh, like not my problem, right? And my thing is like, just come at it with a curious attitude and think about, like, how cool would it be if you could use this tool and only work a little bit, even during your retirement or whatever, right? Like that, like, I don't know. It's, to me, it's exciting, and we should be thinking about how the tools can help us upskill us rather than like be so afraid of them.
Right. I totally agree. And if you don't have chat on your phone, like, just go down and download the app and
Right.
just stick it on your phone.
And you can use the free version too. You don't even, I mean, the paid version is only like, I don't know, 20 or $30. It's not expensive, but even the free version gives you quite a bit for free.
Yeah. And it keeps your history of your searches. So like, I can go back to my Airbnb search right now and then I can elaborate on it. Like, oh, I didn't ask it this question. Maybe I need to just keep going. So it's like, it keeps a little log of what you're talking to it about. That's really crazy. Well, all right. So I want to, is there anything else like that you feel like you really want to talk about with your new company launch? And do you feel like you've given a good...
Yeah. So our company is going to be teaching AI basics. It's going to be treating AI as your business best friend. It's going to be teaching you all about your AIQ, which is your AI. So think of, like, if you have EQ and IQ, your AIQ is how do you connect your curiosity, your kind of uniqueness to AI to kind of like get a bigger, better result. So we're going to be teaching about that and unstructured data. So all of that, it's going to lead us into leadership and advisory stuff. So like, you're going to learn how to use data-driven things to actually make yourself a better advisor. So like, you can either train your team to be better advisors, or think about, like, if you were to upload a Zoom call or a Fireflies call, like a lot of people have AI leaders, or like the recorders now that take the notes, and you get the transcript after. If you were to take that transcript and upload it and get an immediate score on how well you did in that advisory conversation, and it would be unbiased. So it's not like from your manager who maybe likes you, maybe doesn't like you, or whatever, right? And you get unbiased real-time feedback. Well, probably like right after, but even so, to see how you did, how you could improve. And to me, if you think about, like, okay, the bookkeeping's going to go away, the tax work is going to go away, but how do we get that next gen up to being an advisor, in year 1, year 2, as opposed to having to do the work for 10 years
Yeah.
And these are the tools that's going to help us evolve the profession faster. So you're not going to have 20 years of experience to be an amazing advisor. And
Yeah.
people will say, oh, well, they didn't do the work. How are they going to be an advisor? Guess what? You don't have to. You just have to be able to interpret the data. And so we're going to have to support them as leaders, right? Kind of get to advisory faster. But these are the tools that are going to help us get there. So, like, to me, that's the exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I imagine you'll discover all sorts of new use cases as your company grows. And
So, yeah, so one of the things that people don't realize AI is AI is really pattern recognition. And so you as a leader show up in a certain way just because that's like the way you are. It's like that's what makes you you, right? And when you start using AI to understand your patterns, you can then like correct them or choose not to correct them, right? But part of like being a better leader is just awareness, right? So now if you know what makes you you, you can then choose how do you show up. So there's so many things that AI can do to help you to help you be more human that are amazing. And like nobody's talking about that. They're all talking about automating bookkeeping and automating tax and like I don't know. I just think that like the human element is so much more exciting.
yeah, human in the loop needs for
Right.
AI. Humans got to be in the loop too, right?
For sure.
Um, well, all right, Jody, I got a couple of little closing questions here. So, do you have any interesting stories from any time in your career that you can share with our audience? Because being a CPA and being in this industry can be pretty interesting. I've heard so many fun stories. So,
For sure. So when I owned my firm, I had a client, and I've written 3 books, and so she was asking me about what it was like to write a book, and she was thinking about writing a book, and she owned a catering company. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you about writing a book. Whatever. What do you want to know?" And then I was like, "Are you going to write a book about catering, or like what are you going to write a book on?" And then she told me that she was a dominatrix, and I was like, "Whoa! Like, okay, so this is a whole new world." So I don't know if the book ever got written or whatever, but that was like something that I don't think I wanted to know and somehow came into our firm. So I always say you're in your client's financial underwear drawer, and that one just like kind of pushed me over the top.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So did it make sense? Like when she said that, you're like, oh, that checks out, or like it's shocking.
I was actually quite shocked. I was like, I don't know. I don't know where like it was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, speaking of books, do you have a good book recommendation for our audience?
Yeah, so I have to tell you that I am not the best reader. I start books and then I get bored or I never finish them. But the book that's on my bookshelf right now is this AI Snake Oil, what artificial intelligence can do, what it can't do, and how to tell the difference. And I think it's pretty good because I think it kind of cuts to the chase about there is a lot of hype about AI, but there's also a lot of real stuff there. And so I think it kind of helps you understand, and it's from like an engineering perspective as well as a business perspective, what the AI can do today, and it's today, right? Versus like, so that's the hard thing about AI is everything changes so fast. So just because it can't do it today, that doesn't mean that it won't be doing it in 6 months. And
Yeah.
so it keeps evolving. But to me, you have to have your risk hat on, but don't let the risk don't let being a CPA and being risk adverse keep you away, because I think there's a huge opportunity for us to like explore it and to really like evolve the profession as a whole. And
Yeah.
I think if we don't get curious about it, like I think we're going to be in a worse spot than like I think doing nothing is not a good
Yeah.
thing.
I think just play with it. Like
Right.
just play with it. Like have some fun, you know, because you always have things in life that are you always have these going on vacation can be there are
Right.
puzzles to solve on that, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do I
You can.
what are the best restaurants close to me? Or
You can take a picture of your closet and you can have it suggest what you should keep, what you should get rid of, and how to clean it. I mean, like all this like stuff, like I don't know who, I don't want to say, I heard someone like give that in as an example. I was like, oh, and then I tried it and it was pretty cool, right? Like, and I don't know what I would have done before AI. I probably would have just stood there and like done nothing.
yeah. Yeah.
So now I actually uploaded it to AI and then I did nothing. But still, like it was like, I think there's so many things. Just get creative and like see what it comes back with.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jody, how can people connect with you online, or how can they find you?
So the easiest way to find me is just at LinkedIn. Like you can connect to me on LinkedIn. If you go to www.radical.cpa, you can sign up for my newsletter. And it's like a blog too. And then like we're talking about everything AI first firms. And then, so just find me on LinkedIn or connect to me on the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Accountant's Flight Plan podcast. You can keep the momentum going by subscribing and sharing your thoughts with us. Visit our website at pogroupadvisors.com for more resources, and tune in next time for more exciting conversations like this one.
This podcast was produced and edited by Liesl Epps of Poe Group Advisors. Thanks for listening.